Mrs. Robertson. Today is Thursday, and we're going to go to Chapter 10, Lesson 1. It's on page 793. And we're going to talk about how to make predictions. It starts off telling you what statistics are. It says statistics deal with collecting, organizing, and interpreting data. A survey is a method of collecting information. The group being studied is the population. Like if you're studying plants, your population would be plants. It's not just about people. It says sometimes the population is very large. To save time and money, part of the group is called a sample. So they only sample a little group or a small section of the population. So it's called a sample when they're doing a survey. Now, for each survey topic, determine which set represents the population and which set represents a sample of the population. Write population or sample. So let's look at this, and we already have the answers down because we only have a 30-minute class block, and it's a little less than that now. So we're just going to go straight to what you need to write down. Here, dress code changes. Set A, the students in a middle school. That's a population. The 7th graders in the middle school, that's a part of the population, and that's called a sample. So write sample here and population there. Does everyone have that? Make sense? Thumbs up? Good. Favorite flavors of ice cream. The customers at an ice cream shop in the town and the residents of a town. All right, and it's sort of easy whenever you look at your choices. It's like, well, it's more pinpointed with just those that attend the ice cream shop. So that would be your sample, and the larger group is the population, the people that live in the town. Are there any questions on that? Okay, now we're going to go on to page 794. On page 794, make predictions using ratios. Now you're going to be good at this. You can use the results of a survey or past actions to predict the actions of a larger group. Since the ratios of the responses of a good sample are often the same as the ratios of the responses of the population. Now let's look at example 1 and 2. The students in Mr. Blackwell's class brought photos from their summer break. The table shows how many students brought each type of photo. So here we have beach photo 6, campground 4, home 7, theme park 11. Now kids, when I see things like that, I like to add one more column, and it's the total. So here, the total, when you add all of those up, will be 28. You're going to need that for later on. Okay, so just always figure in the total. Now it says, what is the probability that a student brought a photo taken at a theme park? Well, this is what you do. The probability of a theme park is the number of theme park photos over the number of students with a photo. How many theme park? 11. What's the total? 28. 11/28. So when they want to know what is the probability, you can keep it as a fraction. 11/28. Okay? Any questions on that? Okay, let's go on to example 2. Oh, do you all know how to do it if they want it as a percent? To change 11/28 to a percent, you just divide 11 divided by 28. That gives you the decimal. I'm going to round it to the hundredths place. 39 hundredths. And what will 39 hundredths equal as a percent? You move it 2 places, 39%. Now it didn't ask for a percent, so you could keep it as a fraction, okay? Yes? You want to simplify your fraction, yes. Yes?
So did you divide What'd you divide to get there?
To change a fraction to a decimal, it's numerator divided by denominator. Your denominator is your divisor, okay? And that would give me 0.39. And then 39 hundredths will be 39%, okay? Now let's look at number 2. There are 560 students at the school where Mr. Blackwell teaches. Predict how many students would bring a photo taken at a theme park. Okay, we know the fraction for people at the theme park is 11 over 28, right? We want to know how many in the whole school. So what's the total? It's part over total. 11 out of a total of 28. So how many out of a total of 560? Okay, so what do? Since 28 times 20 is 560, multiply 11 by 20 to find S. And 11 times 20 is 200. So out of a population of 560 students, you would expect 220. Okay? Now, sometimes it doesn't always work that way, right? Another way of doing this is if you had your decimal 0.39 and you want to know how many out of 560, if you take 560 times 0.39, I'm going to use a calculator to do the computation. You get 218.4. So it's very close on this, but it's not 220. So that was because I had to round. My 39% was rounded. It was not exact. So that's why it's close but not exact on that. Okay. So on these, if it wants it a certain way, on the test or the quiz, I'll tell you if you're to keep it as a fraction or change your fraction to a percent and work on it that way. So now we're going to do A and B. A survey found that 6 out of every 10 students have a blog. What is the probability that a student at the school has a blog? Well, kids, you put 6 over 10. You simplify that fraction. Someone said, do we ever simplify fractions? So, does everyone see how we started off with 6 over 10? You simplified your fraction to 3/5. You changed it to a decimal and then changed it to a percent. Okay, so those are the answers for part A. Part B, suppose there are 250 students at the school. About how many have a blog? Well, they have about 150. Well, how could we do that? You could say 3 over 5 equals how many are there? 250. Equals what over 250? Okay, this is my mystery. 5 times 50 is 250, right? So 3 times 50 equals 150. Do you see how to do that? Do you remember our proportions and how to do these things? All right. Now let's go to page 795. On this page, now kids, remember, if you are having problems understanding, you can go to your ebook and click on tutor after I'm done. If you go home and it's like, I don't remember how to do these, or you can watch my video, you can always go there. Make predictions using equations. All right, let's look at example 3. A survey found that 85% of the people use emoticons on their instant messengers. Predict how many of the 2,450 students at Washington Middle School use these emoticons. I have no idea if I'm saying that right. All right, so what number, that's your N, of students is 85%. Okay, what number of students is means equals. So N equals, change your percent to a decimal, 0.85. Here of means multiply 2,450. 450. So in this one, what number of students, I know you see the word of, but there it's just really more of a preposition. It's not representing times. N equals 0.85 times 2,450. And when you multiply that, you get 2,082 and 5/10, and they round it to the nearest student of 2,083. Remember, is means equals, of means multiply. Now let's look at number 4. The circle graph shows the results of a survey in which children ages 8 to 12 were asked whether they have a television in their bedroom. Predict how many out of the 1,725 students would not have a television in their bedroom. Okay, 46% do, 54% do not. Now, you probably don't have as many TVs in your room because you all have your own handheld devices or your gaming devices, so it's not as popular to have a TV in your bedroom as it was about 5-10 years ago. Okay, so you can use the percent equation. Part equals percent times whole. That's the percent equation. Part equals percent times whole. So, to predict what part, P is the part of the 1,725 students have no TV in their bedroom. Well, no TV is 54%, so it's 0.54 times the total gives you the part. Okay, so you take your percent times the whole group. They tell you the whole group is that, and that tells you how many students do not have TVs in their room. Any questions? Okay, and here they have it set up another way, part over total, where you have part over total. You can set it up that way. Now refer to example 4. Predict how many of the 1,370 students have a television in their bedroom. So here, it's part over total. Here, the P is still over 1,725, but instead of 54 over 100, you have 46 over 100. And do you remember you can do the cross products, you cross multiply and divide? You can take this times that. You end up with 1,725 times 46 equals 100 times P. Then just divide both sides by 100. And you will get about 630 students. And yes, you're going to want a calculator for these problems, okay? All right. Now let's go on to page 796. We should have guided practice here. Yes. So on page 796, let's look at the guided practice. Yes. Yes, these will be on your next test. You'll be able to use a calculator, but you have to show your work on how to do them. Okay? All right. So the guided practice, 796. We're going to do the guided practice, and then I'll probably have you do some problems for classwork and homework. All right, here we go. The faster we go, the more problems we can get accomplished. Let's get this set up. 796. The probability of choosing a career in public service. Now, let's do the total. We need to know how many people are being surveyed. And when you add those together, 17 plus 14 plus 11 plus 6 plus 2. What did you get? 50. Okay, thank you. Now, the probability of choosing a career in public service. Well, it's going to be 6 over 50. And what will that simplify to? Does it tell us what to use? 3/25. 2 divides 6 3 times. 2 divides 50 25. So as a fraction, it's 3/25. If they want a decimal, which it shows all of them, if you take, well, I'll tell you another way to get a decimal. If it's over 50, all you have to do is get it over 100. 6 over 50 equals what over 100? 12 hundredths. So 12 hundredths is 12 hundredths, and 12 over 100 is 12%. So you have simplified fraction, decimal, and percent. Any questions? Yeah. Yes?
Can you do that using the part equals percentage times whole, wasn't that?
Yes. But on this one, it's so simple, you just take your part over your whole and simplify it. It's when we have to set it up as a proportion. If you go from a fraction to another larger population, that's what we have to do. The probability of choosing a career in education, 14 over 50. Okay, when I simplify that, I'm also going to get it over 100. What does 14 over 50? 28 over 100. So that'll be 0.28 and 28%. What's my simplified fraction going to be? 7 over what? 7 over 25. Do you see how to get all three answers? Okay. The probability of choosing a career in sports, 2 over 50. Well, that equals 1 over 25. That'll be 4 over 100, so that's 0.04. 4 hundredths, because that would equal 4 over 100. See how I would go that way? I could go that way too. 50 times 2. And 2 times 2. 4 hundredths is written like that, and that's 4%. Percent means per 100. Any questions? Let's go on to number 4. Predict how many students out of 400 will enter the education field. Okay, here we have 7 over 25. So you could do 7 over 25 equals X over 400. Got that? 7 is the part, 25 is the total. So 7 out of 25 are going into the education field. If you have 400 people, how many would that be? Well, 25 times 16, or not 16.
28 times 4.
Yeah, 25 times 16 is 400. So 7 times 16 will give us the answer. 112. So 112 out of 400 people would go into the educational field. You could also get that if you take 0.04. All right, let's just, so you get 112 out of that number. Any questions? Okay. You would also, I was starting off telling you, you could also get that if you take 28% or 0.28 times 400. That will also give you 112. That's another way of doing it. Number 5, predict how many students out of 500 will enter the medical field. Well, the medical field is 11 out of 50 equals, and I'm not going to simplify it because it's 500. So how does a 50 turn into a 500? Times 10. So 11 times 10 is what? 110 is the answer. 110 people. Any questions? Number 6. Here we are going to read a circle graph. Yeah. Now, kids, when you add all the percentages together in a circle graph, what do you think you should get? 100%. That's the full circle. Very good. So let's look at this problem here. It says use the circle graph that shows the results of a poll to which 60,000 teens responded. I'm just going to write this 60,000. They interviewed 60,000 people. Predict how many of the approximately 28 million teens in the United States would buy a music CD if they were given $20. Okay, on that problem there, music CD. So we have 32% if they were given $20. So how would you spend a gift of $20? So they're given a gift of $20. 32% would buy a music CD. Now, how many would that be for the whole United States? Well, they have 28 million. So you're going to take 28 million times 0.32 is the easiest way, I think. So I'm going to write 28 million times 0.32. Okay, you have to write down what you're going to do. 28 times 0.32, that gives you 8.96. Now what do I have to put after my 8.96? It's 8.96 million. Because I took it times 2.8 million. Now, I could have written it like that. 2,800,000, that's 2.8 million, times 0.32, and that would equal 8,960,000. So you could have written it either way, all right? I just want you to know sometimes on tests and things, especially in statistics, instead of putting all the zeros, they'll just put million or billion or trillion. So don't remember to, it's not 8.96 people, it's 8.96 million people. Okay. Now, what do I want you to do for homework tonight? I want you to do page 797, 1 to 7. So do page 797, 1 to 7. It's all on that page. Okay, don't forget to figure out a total. And, oh, when you have these graphs here, like this one down here on the types of books checked out, to get your total, do 13 plus 8 plus 15 plus 6 plus 13, okay? If you need to find a total on that, it's helpful to do that. All right, yes. I haven't taken attendance yet. Let me take attendance. Let me check on Aiden, and then I may or may not say yes, okay? All right, have a good day.